Hello everyone, today we have another lesson. We're going to talk about place value with decimals. Our lesson objectives are identify the place value of decimal numbers, 2. Read and write decimal numbers in both words and in figures. So how do I know what kind of decimal it is? I know that's a question most of you have been asking themselves. So the name of a decimal is determined by the number of places to the right of the decimal point. For example, on this side of my table, I have number of places, the decimal name, and an example. So if the decimal places is 1 decimal place, the decimal name is called tenths. And make sure the THS is there, tenths. Example, we say 0.7. This kind of decimal, it is 1 decimal place. 2 decimal places, decimal name become hundredths. An example is 0.05. A 3 decimal place, number of places 3, the name of the decimal become thousandths. An example is 0.016. Remember, when you're reading decimal, you don't say 0.016. No. After the decimal point, we read the numbers, the symbols the way they appear singly, like 0.016. What are mixed decimals? So mixed decimals are numbers with both whole numbers and decimals. Mixed decimals are numbers with both whole numbers and decimal. For now, I know you understand when I say whole numbers because that's what we've been doing from day 1 of our lessons. The name of a whole number is determined by the number of places to the left of the decimal point. To the left of the decimal point. In the number 128.765, 1 is the hundredths place. The place value of 1 is hundredths. 2 is in the tens place. 8 is in the ones place or unit place. 7 is in the tenths place. 6 is in the hundredths place. And 5 is in the thousands place. Value. How do you read decimals? How do you read decimal? To read decimal correctly, first find the decimal point. Whole numbers are to the left of the decimal point, and then any numbers to the right of a decimal point form a decimal fraction. Any number to the right of a decimal point form what we call a decimal fraction. We say and for the decimal point. When you have a decimal point, we say and. For example, the decimal 2164 point is here, 511 is read as 2164. Remember, 2164 is a whole number. They are found on the left of the decimal point. Then, and 511 thousandths. 511 thousandths. Why do we say thousands? Because there are 3 decimal places here. There are 3 decimal places. So, a decimal number with 3 decimal places will take thousands. 2164, another way of reading, when you want to read using the word point, we'll say 2164.511. Check the difference of when you're using and, you have to include the name of the decimal place. Like 3 decimal place will take thousands, 2 decimal place will take hundreds, 1 decimal place will take tens. But when we want to use the word point, we'll say the whole number, then the digits after the decimal, the numbers after the decimal point will be pronounced the way they appear. So we'll say 2164.511, 2164.511. Then we have zeros after the decimal point. One thing you need to understand, writing extra zeros after the decimal point does not change the value. Writing zeros after the decimal point does not change the value. For example, the decimal 0.2, 0.20, and 0.200 are equivalent decimals. Another example, the decimal 0.34, it can be written as 0.340. Check that I've added a 0, 1 0. The next one, 0.3400, I've added 2 0. So, in essence, we say these numbers are equal, these decimal numbers are equal because the zeros does not change any value. Another example that we can add, the decimal 2.8, it can be written as, first one, 2.80, I've added a 0. Another way it can be 2.800 or 2.80000. However, how many zeros I add after the decimal point does not change the value. But again, let us not be confused with this kind of a number. If a zero appears in between two numbers, we count the zero. The zero can change the value. For example that I have is, if I have 2.08 and 2.80, these two numbers are different because in the first one, 2.08, the place value of 0 is tenths, and 2.80, the place value of 8 is tenths. So it means when you are comparing these two decimal numbers, 2.80 will be greater than 2.08. Please make sure that you understand that 0 in between numbers of a decimal number is zeros in between digits of a decimal number changes the value of a decimal number. Great. Now, I want you to go into your slides. There are next slides where I'll want you to go and do practice. Check the assignment slides and do some practice. For example, one of the slides, write the decimals 5 thousands. 5,000. If I can do this, 5,000s, 5,000s, it means it will be a number with three decimal places. For it's going to be 0 point. So I start counting. So I'll say 0, 0.005. So this we'll call it 5,000s. 5,000s. And when we come to this one, we'll say 94,000. 94,000. It means you have to include the number that is said there. The number that is said there, 0.94, 0.094. Great. Another example. Write each decimal in words. Write each decimal in words. So if I'm supposed to write each decimal in words, example, I will say 7,000, 7,000, 7,000, 7,800, 884, 84. Remember, we can either use point, but the best one is using and. 7,884 and we have 11, we have 11, and how many place value is after the 0? There are 1, 2, 3, so 11,000. Thousands. And that's how we write decimal in both figures and in words. So I'll leave the rest for you so that you can do much practice of writing them in words and in figures. So we need to understand in this lesson we've learned the place value of decimal numbers, and also we've learned the decimal places of decimal numbers, whereby we say a decimal number with 1 decimal place is tenths, a decimal number with 2 decimal places is hundredths, a decimal number with 3 decimal places is thousands, and going forward, a decimal places with 4 decimal places is called 10,000ths. 10,000. So I leave you with us. Go and do practice, and bye for now. Thank you.